The Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you today by Draft. Looking for the best fantasy sports site on the planet? Sign up with Draft today. For a limited time only, our listeners will receive $3 matching their first deposit of at least $10. Use promo code DTR or visit draft.com/DTR to sign up now. Draft. Fantasy for the people. Now enjoy the show.
Caught by Brandon Cooks. Shoot your arrows. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Wood, touchdown. LA. Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge, and Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride. Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Leto got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did! Racing down the sideline is a key to lead. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA! Picked off by John Johnson. Well, it's Dante Fowler who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast episode. It is episode 262. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me, as always, is Alexis Kraft. We are coming off one of the ugliest. Well, the game's not even over yet. There's 153 left, but it is down. It's up there to be one of the ugliest performances I've seen from this football team. And I mean, Alexis, is this worse than the Falcons loss, the last one Jeff Fisher suffered? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, I think this is the worst. This might be the worst loss I've ever seen the Rams have, because it's not about the score, which is awful. It is not about what was on the line, which was pretty much their season. It was not about the defense being unable to stop Lamar Jackson. It wasn't about Jared Goff. It wasn't about the offensive line. It wasn't really about anything, but the fact is the Rams couldn't stop anyone. And it's not even about that. It was just the simple fact the Rams simply weren't prepared for this game. They weren't prepared to play a Monday Night Football at home at the Coliseum's last Monday Night Football game it will likely ever have. They weren't prepared at 6-4 to defend their home turf against a Ravens team that had to fly from Baltimore, mind you, to the West Coast. I mean,
yeah,
I have no words. I legitimately have no words. There's another interception. So Goff had 2 interceptions in this game, which I'm not even going to get into the running tally of turnovers Goff has had. But
well,
I just don't know what to say, so I'm just going to leave it to you.
if you guys like it when I rant, you're going to love this, okay? So, all season long, there has been cause for concern with multiple different units of this Rams team. It started at the beginning of the season, and everyone wanted everybody to calm down. It continued through the middle of the season. Everybody wanted, me to calm down. Well, guys, guess what? It's not going away, and the Rams are not making the playoffs. In order for the Rams to make the playoffs right now, we would have to hope that by some unholy act of nature, the Seahawks just dive off the deep end, which they're not going to do. The 49ers pretty much have sealed the division, unless they go off the deep end, which, again, they're not going to do. The Rams season, guys, call me dramatic. It's just statistic, fact, and chance is most likely over, okay? Now, tonight's game, if you are sitting at home right now saying, oh, well, it's the Ravens, the Rams, this was going to happen. No, fuck that. The Rams should not have lost this game by the amount that they lost it to. I'm going to say this right now, guys. 40% of the Ravens win tonight was because of the Ravens. The Ravens are a Super Bowl team. I think that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, we won't get into, how great they are right now, but the Ravens are a very good football team. But only 40% of the win tonight is because they're a good football team. The other 60% of the Ravens win is because the Rams have no idea what they're doing on any side of the ball. The Rams are a flashy football team. They are not a hard-nosed, gritty, physical football team, and I wish for the love of God they were, because hard work beats talent any day. And the Rams, they're just not doing it. They're not cutting it. The Rams are relying on what worked for them last season, which was playing flashy, finessing other teams, thinking outside the box, and guess what? It worked. It's not going to work again, and it never will. Okay? The Rams' offensive and defensive identity right now is that flashy, finesse, tricky football team, and it's just not working. It can work sometimes. The only way, the guys, that they're going to sustain that is if McVay comes up with something new, which he's not. He is lacking creativity. He's lacking grit. He's not thinking of anything that anybody else that we're playing hasn't thought of or already seen from us. And so what you saw tonight, guys, is you saw a team that really has no identity right now, because the flashy, finesse, creative identity that they had all last season is effectively gone because it no longer works. And you saw that go up against a team like the Ravens, whose whole identity is physical, gritty. They ran up the score when they didn't need to, because that's just who they are. They're going to go balls to the wall every single second of every single down of every single game. And guess what? The Rams aren't that. And I can say that because they haven't done that one time this season. You wonder why we're watching the Rams out there look like they have no idea what's going on. It's because they don't, and that starts with coaching. McVay's coaching has been abysmal, to say the least, this entire season. Wade Phillips, I don't know how he really has a job right now, and that pains me to say because I really love Wade Phillips, but the defense has no idea what's going on. I'll tell you this, we don't have the talent right now, guys, to play a 3-4. We don't have the front that we had last season to pulling a 3-4 or the linebacking core, so that needs to change. I'm not sure why we're even playing that. I mean, Jake, I could go on forever. I'll let you touch on that specifically. Maybe that was something I thought about with the defense, is why the hell are we still playing a 3-4? Because it's not working for us, and Donald gets double teamed or triple teamed on every single play, and we don't have the talent other than Aaron Donald to pull that off. So I'm not sure why there hasn't been a change there. I mean, I just don't understand why this Rams team literally looks and seems so clueless on every single aspect of every unit on this team.
Yeah. So this game as a whole, I mean, here's where I find such a hard time to just describe, or I know there are some Rams fans that are listening to this right now in their car on their way to work, hoping for, something to cling to, anything. I got nothing, because the Steelers' loss to me was huge, because it was going to show the Rams this is how things need to go down. This is what the Rams need to do to be successful. They need to run the football, and they need to manage the game with Jared Goff. The defense was playing great. It looked like they found their offense, but offensive line. But this is what happens when you play the Bears. It's false hope. And so this game was going to be a barometer to show you where the Rams really are right now. Well, the Rams, just losing to the Steelers off the bye, you could make the argument, okay, they were on the road, they were playing, in Pittsburgh, and on top of it, they were coming off a bye, so, they could have been flat. Fine. If that was your argument, fine. Coming back to the Coliseum, they win a game in which they dominated, and, you're thinking, okay, well, they should have won by more against the Bears, but I mean, a win's a win. So you come into this game thinking the Rams might have a shot. They're a desperate team. Desperate teams are scary this time of year. They know what's on the line. They might have a legitimate shot at this. the way Lamar's been playing, you have to think he's going to run into a buzzsaw at some point. The thing is, I don't think he is. And it doesn't matter if he, is or not. The Rams weren't going to be that buzzsaw. Okay. This defense, just from the moment the game started, and as somebody that has watched every single throw Lamar has made in his NFL career, somebody that's a huge fan of his game, I believe he's probably, he's the MVP right now. He might be the best quarterback in the National Football League right now, as crazy as that sounds, just playing in all phases of the game. But it wasn't Lamar Jackson that infuriated me. Name one player that the Rams could stop tonight, because they couldn't stop anybody. It was Gus Edwards. It was Mark Ingram. It was Mark Andrews. I mean, the list goes on. They couldn't stop anybody. It wasn't just Lamar Jackson. They couldn't stop RG3, for Christ's sake. He threw just a prayer down the field, which was caught by Miles Boykin, who basically came off the bench. They couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop Andrews. They couldn't stop Hollywood Brown, Seth Roberts. Willie Snead had 2 touchdowns. Nick Boyle. I mean, they couldn't stop anybody. So the defense, basically, and this is the crazy thing. The defense, gave up maybe the longest drive I've ever seen, the 9-minute drive. They gave up 39, almost 40 minutes with the Ravens on offense. This team that scores, they can score quickly, they can score methodically. The Ravens could do whatever they wanted and then some. So that was the biggest thing for me, is that as abysmal as the offense looked, the offense was on the field 20 minutes of this game. And that is an inflated stat because of the garbage time that they spent at the end of the game. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I mean, this was a team coming into this year that you just assumed was going to win the division. It was whether or not they were going to be a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed, or a 4 seed. And now they're 6-5. They have the same record as the division winning Dallas Cowboys right now. But there's no way that they are going to make the playoffs if the way they played tonight. I mean, I don't see this getting much better. And I think that's the thing that needs to be said, is that they have hit rock bottom. And now you start to look at 2020 and think, oh, well, the sun will come up and 2020 will be better. Yeah, but they still have Jared Goff under center, who they have to pay a ton of money to. They still have Aaron Donald, who they have to pay a ton of money to, who's worth every penny. They still have to sign Jalen Ramsey. They still have, Todd Gurley, and they paid Brandon Cooks, and they paid Robert Woods. They're going to have to pay Cooper Kupp. So there's all these myriad of, all these issues, or not even issues, but they have all of this cap already allocated. It's going to be really hard to get out of this hole if they're not going to be successful, because this could be worse than that whole era when you were talking about the Spags era and the Fisher era, because guess what? With those teams, they weren't strung like the Rams are right now. I don't think the Rams have been salary cap strung like this ever. And it works when you're winning, but when you're not, it is magnified. And Les Snead trading picks like it's candy, I mean, that will catch up if the Rams aren't successful. And right now, every loss the Rams have, it makes every trade that they've made this year look worse. I mean, that's all I got to say for that. I know you were trying to get your thoughts in there, so I didn't want to keep interrupting you, but that's pretty much all that needs to be said on that.
Well, would you venture to say, though, that the phrase hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work? I mean, look at this team, guys. We have talented guys on offense and on defense, but I'm telling you, these guys look shocked that the things that they did last year aren't working. Guys, last year is over. It is never happening again. Not saying we can't be successful or more successful than last year, but last year, it's over. We can't, it seems like Jared Goff especially, but other people are like, why am I not playing as well as I was last year? Why are we just not doing things and it's clicking and it's working? And you look at these guys and it looks like half-hearted effort. I could go on and on about it, but I'm not going to, because we all get the point. But guys, this team needs a wake-up call. This team should have woken up in the game against the Bucks. Okay? That should have been the wake-up call, and it wasn't. You can argue that there was a lot of other times, especially the loss to the Steelers, as you mentioned earlier. They still didn't figure it out. I hope to God they figure it out now. Because Jake, you're right. We got a lot of guys we got to pay. We paid a lot of guys. Maybe we even paid the wrong guys. But at this point, what can we do about that? It's already happened. I'll tell you what, they need to go. If it were up to me, I would restructure at least Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks. I'd restructure the hell out of both of them. As far as the picks goes, yeah, we're pretty screwed in that department. I mean, there's nothing more that I can say about that. I mean, we just have to lock down Jalen Ramsey to make it worth it. We got Jared Goff in this big contract, and guess what, guys? With the way he's paying, nobody else has ever taken him. So he needs to pick it up, and we need to figure out what we're doing at the quarterback position. But it really just seems like this Rams team, there is no urgency. There is no physicality. There is no grit. They're expecting to have things handed to them by the way that they're playing. It looks like I said, I guess the word would be urgency. It's just so unbearable to watch this team. It's one thing if you're losing, but you've got like a fire lit under your ass and you're upset and you see guys out there at least just being hard-nosed and physical, and at least they're attempting to make it close. But when I watch this team, it just looks like everybody's so clueless as to what's going on. Like, I feel like Jared Goff has no idea what's going on. I feel like our defense especially has no idea what's going on. I mean, like I mentioned before, we won't get into the defense and what's happening there. I think the whole scheme is wrong. I don't understand it. It's like a really just confusing, agitating time right now to be a Rams fan, especially if you're very invested in the team, like most of us are, and you're just watching them because it just seems like you just need them to like something to click and something to happen, and it's just not happening. And especially, guys, if they were playing like this and we weren't in a really tough division this year, they could probably squeak it out until the playoffs, and then hope that it just all, clicks for them in the playoffs and they do great and make it to the Super Bowl. But that's just not happening this year. I mean, people can say that. I'm just telling you right now, San Francisco and Seattle aren't going to go off the deep end. They're just not. I mean, if there's still a chance maybe that we also get the second wild card along with Seattle, but with the way we're playing, there's no way. It's just really frustrating because I feel like I've been saying things that, I'm concerned about, and so have you, all season, and people get so mad at us about it, and then things like this happen and we're kind of like, do you guys is anybody else like seeing what we're seeing? And I'm sure you guys are. I mean, I don't think anybody can watch this Rams team the way that they played tonight, and be okay with that. And I get it. I get that we played the Ravens. The Ravens are my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they're an incredible team. I think Lamar Jackson has been playing out of his mind. I think that they're good on, in every single unit of that football team. I think it's just, they're what I wish the Rams were. They're hard-nosed, they're gritty, they're physical. You know what? And it sucked to be a Rams fan when they're running the score up on us, but I like that out of a team. I want a team to go balls to the wall every single second of every single game, every single down. And the Rams aren't that team. And I don't know where the culture changes there. I don't know if that's from McVay. I don't know if it's from the offense, from the defense. But again, they just seem to be the team that's always focused on the flashy plays, trying to finesse, throw, do the cool trick play, Goff, trying to make throws to receivers that aren't there. Like, it just, like, run the football. Just, I don't know what the answer is specifically, but it's not what we're doing. It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, there were a million different scenarios that could have led to the Rams being in a better position, but I mean, there's no excuse to give up 45. I think that's really what is going to leave a bad taste in Rams fans' mouths, is that this is a 45-6 ball game, and this is not in Baltimore where Goff struggles in cold weather. This is legitimately at the Coliseum. the last Monday Night Football game you will see at the Coliseum. This game, everyone knows what's at stake. They see, the Ravens are on a tear. The Rams finally seem like they had just, they changed some things, and, it's going to be an interesting game. And then this happens, and it's like, you know what? The Packers last night, when all those Rams fans were like, wow, I can't believe the Packers are this bad. I mean, they looked better than the Rams. I mean, as good as, the 49ers looked last night, and as good as the Ravens look. I mean, the Ravens looked like miles better against the Rams than the 49ers did against the Packers. I think if you're concerned, or if you're not concerned about Jared Goff, I'm hoping this opens your eye, because I don't even think he played all that bad. I really don't. He had a tipped pass, and he had one where he tried to force it when the game was pretty much out of reach already. But before that, I don't think he played all that bad. However, you can play bad, or you can play okay or good and look bad. And I don't think Jared Goff looks good when he plays good. I don't even think Jared Goff looks good when he plays out. Like, he looks bad this whole year. Even when he's throwing touchdowns, he's not confident. His footwork's off. His mechanics are off. There's no confidence I see with Jared Goff. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, because I'm not Jared Goff. I don't go to work every day and, prepare for these games. And I don't sit in the film room and all that. And I'm not even going to get into, that whole report thing that came out, which was, it's really just a rumor, and I wouldn't put too much stock into it. But I mean, Jared, like, if you're not concerned that the Rams overpaid Jared Goff, and not even overpay, because overpay is saying we gave him too much, but he deserved to get paid. He just got too much. Jared Goff hasn't deserved to get. He didn't deserve to get paid, period. He had me fooled. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be honest, because, coming into the year, I defended the guy tooth and nail, despite, the Super Bowl performance. I said, and Alexis, you can vouch for me, I think we both had him in our top 10 when that whole, ranking thing came out with the quarterbacks. And we all were like, oh, there's no way Dak Prescott is better than Jared Goff, because that whole thing came out. And right now, having watched Wentz absolutely just crumble against Seattle at home in a game where the defense kept him in the whole game, having watched Goff pretty much the whole year, and having watched Dak Prescott, the 4th round pick, I would probably say Dak is the best quarterback from this class, and right now it doesn't look close. I mean, I don't want to hear Jared Goff in his presser. I don't even want to hear it. I mean, I don't even know how you guys are able to turn those things on after the game, because it just makes me upset. Because it's like, what do you want them to say? But at the same time, like, you couldn't look any more like, like, hey, I got to get this fixed. Like, when Goff stood up and said that last year, or 2 years ago, like, I believed that. You know what I mean? And he did. He's like, I will work everything in my, my power, my heart to get this thing fixed. And he did. The Rams, it's worrisome, because it's like they were that shiny new toy that you got for your dog. And your dog loves the shiny new toy, but then all of a sudden another toy comes around, and that toy goes in the bin, never to be used again. It legitimately terrifies me, the thought that the Rams were fool's gold, and it was almost like the NFL's version of the Twilight Zone, where this is the cautionary tale about how the Rams, a team that thought that they were the next dynasty, looked too far ahead at the future and doomed themselves completely. And I'm hoping that's not the case. And maybe we are just overreacting, because it is only week 12. But at the same time, can you really say we're overreacting when a team that was in the Super Bowl last year that's 6-5 now, just lost 45-6 on national television? I don't know. However, you could say that when they lost 45-6 at home on national television, which is inexcusable. You didn't travel to Baltimore. You did it at the Coliseum, and you weren't prepared. That falls on the coaches, and that falls on the players. And at this point, if the Rams don't win another game this year, I won't be surprised. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say. Guys, the end of the story is the Rams have no identity right now. I know that sounds confusing because of what I said earlier of who they think their identity is. That flashy offense that they were last season. It's not them. They've been figured out, and they have had no way to come up with anything new at all. They are playing as if they're expecting to win games without having to put in the work. And honestly, I just truly think nobody knows what's happening or what's going on. I don't think, offense, defense, I just think everybody's lost, and I don't think that they know who they are. We saw them play a team tonight who knows exactly who they are. And if the Rams want any chance of finding their identity, they have to take a serious look at every single person on this football team, every single person on this coaching staff. And you know what? We're not going to get into the front office because everybody knows, how I feel about that. But, we don't have any draft picks right now. We have no one. We have draft picks, but we don't have any ones to get any superstar players. So we now need to look to free agency. We need to look at, first we need to restructure a lot of guys. There's no way that the Rams don't restructure or just flat out release anybody at the end of the season. People can talk about that all they want. We're not there yet, but something's got to give. I don't know what it is. I just think it's pretty pathetic, honestly. We were in the Super Bowl last year, and if the Rams don't do something by the end of this season, it's just going to be the whole one season wonder team. And I'm not going to say that we are, but we're starting to look like that's what it was. So we need to pick it up. Honestly, I'm sick and tired of excuses. I'm sick and tired of everybody not holding players on this team and coaches on this team accountable, because when players and coaches for your favorite team are underperforming, you have to call them out on it. Every single franchise does it. I don't know why people want to pretend that the Rams franchise is any different. Guys, we're bad. We're playing bad right now. I'm not saying we're bad players, because we have talented players, like I said earlier, but we're playing bad all around, physically, mentally, game plan. Everything has just been downright pathetic, and it's got to change. And that can sound harsh, but if you've been watching the Rams this season, you probably agree with me. I don't have anything else to say, really. I just think, the rest of this season, unfortunately, needs to be a time to evaluate who we have and see what works for us and what doesn't, and just hope that by some miracle we get that second wild card spot.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd love to see the Rams win out and get the wild card spot. And me, I'm like Mr. Optimist here. And you did call the Ravens to win. I'm all out of juice, at this point. So it's unfortunate, but it's just, you see these teams every year in the NFL. You see teams that start off 3-0 and then, look at them. And you see the teams that, they get all this reputation from their previous, season, and rightfully so, and they fall off. And, we heard all off season about the Super Bowl hangover, which just still irks me, because I don't think that you could say the Super Bowl hangover is that unrealistic. I mean, at this point, the Falcons haven't been the same since losing the Super Bowl. The Carolina Panthers haven't been the same since losing the Super Bowl. The Eagles honestly haven't been the same since losing the Super Bowl. So, I guess I really am disappointed, because I feel like Jared has completely lost his way as far as being, on that that right trajectory towards being a really good quarterback in this league for a long time, and maybe being a headliner. I mean, last year he showed flashes of elite, and this year I haven't seen one elite throw. Maybe the one to Josh Reynolds, that was pretty sweet, but um, I don't even know what to say about that. And then let's be real, I handpicked Sean McVay. I'm not going to say I was wrong because the dude led the Rams, who were 4-12, when he took over, to 11-5 season, for hosted a playoff game and then lost in the first round, and then followed up the next year going to the Super Bowl. So I won't say that I was wrong about him. I will say I'm genuinely worried and concerned that Super Bowl has ruined him as well, where I don't feel like his play calling has been the same since. Now, it could be as simple, and I guess this is the silver lining here. It could be as simple as the offensive line, having that last year, having Roger Saffold, not having the offensive line consistency of last season has really just derailed the Rams that much. And then I know you would be like, well, what about the defense? And I'd say, well, at the start of the game, the defense can stop Lamar Jackson, and they were going to be on the field. They knew it the majority of the game because the offense was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. So, it does have an effect on the defense. I guess that's the silver lining there. Is maybe it's fine, and the Rams can fix this, but it's going to take next year, and they're going to have to take some offensive linemen early on, like maybe they should have done instead of, drafting Taylor Rapp, who I think he's had a good rookie year. But, I mean, right now there are guys like Elgton Jenkins with the Packers, Eric McCoy with the Saints that are absolutely dominating this season. And just having them in the trenches would have been huge. And then, we could get into it all day, but, taking somebody like, I mean, I'm not even really. I liked the pick. I didn't like the pick at the time, and I started to like it. But Greg Gaines in the 4th round, because guess what? Like, they don't even use him. Like, I thought he was going to be the nose tackle. They don't even bring him in. So I mean, these are guys that you drafted pretty high that aren't on the field, and or that are on the field, but you don't have. Because of it, you don't have the offensive line depth that you and I, the biggest cautionary tale of the year in the offseason, we kept saying, this team is fine if no one gets hurt. And then everyone seemingly got hurt and it wasn't fine. So, we're, we'll see. I personally don't know how I see the rest of this year going. I also wouldn't be shocked, even though I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost all their games. I also wouldn't be shocked if they won them all, because this team, and I said this to you during the game, but this team reminds me of a Jeff Fisher coach team where they could literally win any game and they could lose any game. And it's weird, but that's how I feel. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost both games to Arizona. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Arizona twice. So, again, there's a lot of games left. The Rams still have a shot. It's very minimal. I'm not going to sit here every week and, say, well, the Rams, still suck and all that. We're going to try to obviously make it through it. Hope the Rams make the playoffs. And if they do, the sky's the limit there, because, all you have to do is get into the dance to have a shot. But that's really all I have to say. I think we covered it pretty well, and I think we did it in a way where I don't think we were too rude about. I don't know about you, Alexis. I didn't think we were. I don't think we were bad about it. I mean, we're
honest.
upset, and yeah, well, we were honest, but I don't think, I thought we were pretty respectful over it. There's a lot of question marks, and there's a lot of questions, and we don't really have any answers. I mean, that's, to sum it up, that's the Rams. A lot of questions, no answers. What happened to everything that they had supposedly built? But yeah. So if you guys like this, or just like any podcast that we ever do, be sure that you're subscribed. You get all of our podcasts. It hits your phone the moment it comes out on iTunes. So it's pretty cool. So even more than iTunes, like just any platform, subscribe, and it'll hit your phone. But also, if you like what you hear, be sure to leave a review. But that's going to do it for us. For Jake Ellenbogen, she's Alexis Kraft. This is the Downtown Rams podcast, and we're signing off. Until next time, take care, guys. We'll make it through this. Horns up.